All right, guys, how you doing today? I'm Coach Jarrett Troxler from Washington-Massillon High School in Massillon, Ohio. Very excited here to be presenting. I know COVID has kind of hurt our clinic season, but Glazer's doing a tremendous job of putting together a virtual clinic. Not only that, they're putting together Glazer Drive that has our system on there, so you can go on there and log on and get a lot of information, not only this system, but multiple systems from very good coaches from across the country. So it's a great resource that you want to use. Today I'm going to talk about top formations and personnel and being able to be multiple and move guys around to really help you maximize your offense. By really not handcuffing yourself or painting yourself into a corner of not being able to move your players around. All right, so what I'm going to talk about today is our top formations, top personnel, and kind of talk about how we get our playmakers the ball. Obviously, you want to get your players the ball. You want to get your players in the right position. That's your job as an offensive coach. Especially me as a play caller, I got to make sure that I get my guys all in the right spot. All right. And as I've learned throughout my career, that sometimes you can chase down ways to get guys the ball, and you end up spinning your wheels because maybe you handcuff yourself or paint yourself in a corner, so to speak. Maybe because you can't move receivers around, or maybe they're double covering your really good player and you only have one really good receiver and they're doubling him. Or if you got two really good receivers, how do you make those guys happy? How do you keep them the ball? All right. So I'm going to talk about some of that stuff in this session. I'm going to show you how we organize our personnel. Okay, and kind of how we define who goes where and what, and show you ways that we try to get them the ball. All right. So first things first, when we look at our depth charts in the spring, all right, we start thinking about personnel. All right, what are these kids' strengths? All right, where do they fit in our offense? And unlike college, high schools, we've got to be able to adapt to whatever walks in the door. All right, we can't go out and recruit 3, 6, 4 tight ends. Some years we may not have tight ends. Maybe we got a bunch of receivers. All right, maybe we get an influx of kids where we got a bunch of fullback type kids, and maybe we want to run some double fullback sets, things like that. Or maybe we got a bunch of running backs. When I was in Thompson, Georgia, we had, I was always a big spread guy. I loved spread football. I loved being in 10 personnel and throwing it around. And then I got to Thompson, Georgia, and the legendary coach Luther Welsh was there. He ran the wing T, and for years, 30 years, he was the head football coach there. And my real good friend Rob Ridings took that job and hired me as the offensive coordinator, and I came in thinking, man, they got some great athletes. We're going to line up in spread and throw it around. And I get there, and we've got a roster full of really good running backs, all right, wing T type kids. So I kind of had to adjust my thinking, all right. And so we got in some personnel where we're in 2 backs, we're in 3 backs, running the football, doing some things that those kids were comfortable with doing. And we won a lot of football games, 2 region titles, made a run at state championship, ended up getting beat by Trevor Lawrence. He ended up being a pretty good college player too. So, but anyway, really had to adjust to our personnel. So that's what I'm going to talk a lot about in this session: personnel, and then top formations. Okay, and then I'll get to some of the other title of this session. Obviously, if you have questions, contact information will be put on this system or this at the end of this presentation, and you guys feel more than welcome to hit me up, send me messages on social media, or email me, or ask me questions through the Glazier Drive forums that we have on there. All right, so personnel, okay? Personnel groups, okay? This is what we do, okay? We give them names, okay? Kids associate things better than if I look at a kid and say, hey, we need to be in 10 personnel or 20 personnel or 21 personnel. The kids don't get that, okay? They have to stop and think, wait, does that mean 2 running backs and 1 tight end? 10 personnel means 1 running back, no tight end. The kids don't think like that, all right? They associate things with names, all right? So we want to give our personnel groups names. So when I'm calling plays, I just yell out, cheetah, cheetah, cheetah. Everybody knows what personnel grouping we're in, all right? And the kids, hey, oh, I'm on cheetah. I'm an H receiver. I need to run on the field, okay? And they communicate that. I'll get into how we communicate that as well. Don't use traditional personnel terminology. Like I said, 10 personnel, 12 personnel, etc. They don't understand all that. So, in the pro-gun spread system, we use animals as the personnel groupings. Now, you can use cars. I've used car names. You can use, really it's limitless. Whatever you want to use. We just use animals just because it was just what we thought of and it was easier. All right. To me, I think 4 to 5 personnel groupings is the magic number. Okay. We got down to about 3 this past season. 3 of them. This is what we got good in. All right. But if you sit there and you're in 7 personnel groupings, you're going to run into trouble trying to practice all that. And you're going to say, man, I've got 7 personnel groupings, but I'm not really good at any of them. All right. So to me, I think 4 to 5 is the magic number, with 3 being your top personnel groupings. So you want to say, I got 3 personnel groupings. All right. Those are my top ones that I want to rep. And then maybe 2 more, maybe like a goal line type, short yardage personnel grouping, or maybe a special play grouping. Maybe you're not an empty team. Maybe you're a wing T team, or maybe you're a tight end pro set team or flex bone team. And maybe sometimes you want to just jump in empty to show empty. Make them practice it, see what their empty check is, motion back in and run your offense. That's where the 4 to 5 comes in. So for me, all right, for what I think is best for offensive football, I think you should stick to about 3 personnel groupings. That's your base stuff, that you're going to run your offense in these 3 personnel groupings, and then start working into 4 and 5 personnel groupings, for situational type stuff. All right, but that's the magic number to me. Okay. Strength of your kids is the biggest thing with personnel. Like I said earlier, what do your kids do well? Okay. What type of kids do you have? All right. You got to evaluate that roster and determine that. All right. If you don't have any tight ends on your roster, okay, then maybe you don't have a tight end set that year. All right. Also keep in mind, at Washington High School, we're a big football town, a big time football program. We have a lot of kids involved in the program. We practice kids both ways. All right, it's still high school football. All right, our defensive end this past year, great player, all Ohio player, was going to sign Division I scholarship to play DN somewhere. Didn't sign yesterday, but he's going to sign somewhere big in February. He played tight end and H-back and U-back for us. So, you got to get them in shape. You got to get the best players on the field. And that's where the strength of your kids, all right, comes into play, okay? And so we practice our kids both ways just because we can take that defensive depth chart and we can look at that. And that's where we get all of our fullbacks, our tight ends, our U-backs, and then sometimes our H-backs and our Zs. Those guys play corner. Those guys play safety. All right, and they give us quality depth at those positions. And we can get to that 4 to 5 personnel grouping. We'll say this, you got to be smart as well. If you got a stud Mike linebacker, okay, and you want to play him at fullback some, you don't want to wear him out there. Jump in some 2 fullback sets. All right, and now you can have that kid that plays Mike linebacker for 60 snaps a game, and then he comes over on offense and plays 7 snaps a game in situations where you're in a 2 fullback set or a tight end fullback set, things like that. So that's kind of what we do to organize our personnel groupings. I think it's worked for us. It's really good, and I've done it at multiple places. All right, we've done it at Massillon. I did it at Thompson down in Georgia. Did it at Lakeside when I was head coach at Lakeside. So this is something we've always done. All right, so this is kind of how we organize it. We go to Cheetah. That's 10 personnel. Your true spread, 4 wide receivers. Dog, for us, what dog is, it's like a 2-back personnel. Now, it's not a true 20 personnel. For us, it's a fullback. All right, fullback, 1 running back, 3 receivers. Okay, so that's kind of what dog is. Tiger is 20 personnel, but it's the same personnel as dog. All right, but it's a U-back. All right, so it's a different player. So we got to give it a different name. Now, we probably run a lot of the same plays out of those 2 personnel groupings, but this kid is more of a guy that can get in the flats on a pass, or he can get vertical on a pass, that kind of thing. I'll really get into talking about that once we talk about formations. Hippo, that's 11 personnel. That's your tight end with a receiver, 3 receivers, an H-back. That's an adjuster. All right, and I'll go through all these in just a second. Rhino is 1 back, all right, with 2 fullbacks. All right, and then we've got our Bear personnel, which is true 30 personnel. This is kind of what we do within our personnel and kind of how we label them. Quarterback is our Q, running back is the T. Our Y is a traditional tight end, on the ball receiver. Okay, so in certain personnel groupings, the Y is the tight end. All right, traditionally, everybody's called the Y the tight end. Then the Y in our Cheetah personnel or our dog personnel, he's the on-the-ball receiver. Okay, so he's the on-the-ball receiver. And that's how we kind of categorize our receivers. You're either an on-the-ball receiver or you're an off-the-ball receiver. On-the-ball receivers are more your tall, traditional type, stretch the field vertical guys. And your off-the-ball receivers are your speedsters. They can run the jet sweeps. Also good receivers. We like for them all to be tall, but most of the time we put our tallest guys at X and Y. So Z is the off-the-ball receiver to the call. All right, H is an off-the-ball receiver. X is an on-the-ball receiver. X and Y are very similar. A lot of times X is typically our best player. This kid that played X for us past year, he just signed with Ohio State. Fullback is our F, and then U for utility player. The U is like a tight end type guy. He's very physical. Most of the time, our U back is a defensive player. He's a great blocker. He's a bigger, taller, more lengthy type kid, but he also catches the ball well and he also runs well. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking for in a utility player. A fullback, all right, that's your kid that is a little bit too small to play guard, all right, and he's too slow to play linebacker. All right, he's kind of that kid that really can't find a position. He's a little bit too light to play 3 technique on defense. He's not athletic enough to play outside linebacker. You kind of don't know what to do with him, but damn, he's tough. Put him at fullback. All right, he's got to kick out. He can ISO. He can do all those things that fullbacks do. And I'm going to tell you what, those kids, that's how you win football games with those type of kids. because they're selfless. They don't care about how many tackles they have, how many touches they have. Their main focus is to go block basically run their head into a wall for 4 quarters, all right, and love doing it. And, our kids have really taken pride. That group, that unit of players, they take pride in being the toughest group on the team, which I kind of like. I think it's pretty cool that those kids do that. But it's a kid that they can't really find a home, but they bust their butt in the weight room. They're that true team player, okay? That's what we look for in a fullback. All right, so I'm going to go through this just to kind of show you how we organize them on the set. And then I'll get into how these guys know where to line up, okay? So cheetah, all right, that just puts our Y on the ball. Our Z's off the ball, he's number 1. Our H is off the ball, he's number 2. And the X is on the ball, okay? The running back aligns to whatever the play is called, okay? Or whatever the protection is, or whatever his job is, that's where he lines up, okay? So that's cheetah personnel. Dog personnel, okay? So dog, dog, dog. That's what I always say on sideline. And these kids know to go on the field. Let me mention that too. So let's say we're in a cheetah, get a first down, and I want to jump in dog. It's very simple. All I do is yell dog, dog, dog. I don't hold up no signals or anything. I say it in the headset, dog. All right, our coaches echo it, and those kids are standing right with us. That fullback is standing right with us. As soon as he hears that, he sprints his butt on the field. All right, and as he's running on the field, he's yelling dog, dog, dog. The H hears that, and he runs off the field. Vice versa. If we're in dog and we want to jump in cheetah, all right, the fullback, we yell cheetah. The H runs on the field. He's yelling cheetah. The fullback hears cheetah. He runs off the field. Again, you're in the heat of the battle. There's a game going on, and you got a 16-year-old kid running out yelling, 21 personnel, 21 personnel. They don't know. I mean, they don't know what that means in the heat of the moment. But if he's yelling dog, 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 all right, the fullback is, that H receiver hears that. He goes, I'm not supposed to be on the field right now. He gets off the field. So you really, if you're organized on that, you really don't get called for, having too many guys on the field. Tiger, okay? Tiger is that U-back. He runs on the field. Now, he can line up anywhere on the field, and we'll get into that shortly of how we align him. Right there is the base way he aligns, okay? So that's a U-back on the field. You get a hippo, all right? We called it hippo because it's an animal, all right? And the H is the adjuster, so we can move him all over the field, all right? And it's tight end, 3 receivers, okay? On the ball tight end, 3 receivers. And then we've got rhino, okay, where we're tight end, fullback, and then the X stays on and the Z stays on. Now, how you personnel this is up to you. Maybe your Y receiver is your better guy you want here, all right? But we just call him the Z because our motions associate with the Z, the letter Z. So if we put him over here, we can get him over there in motion. We've got some other calls that I'll get into when we start talking about top formations. Bear, this is one that we really like. Bear is 2 on the ball receivers. All right, you can call him the Y, or you can call him the Z, whatever. We call him the Z. Keep it consistent. All right. A couple years ago, we called it the Y. Don't get caught up in who's X, Y, Z. Whatever works for you. All right, so you can keep it simple for your kids. Then we got 2 fullbacks. All right, so that's like a goal line type set for us. Okay. All right. So let's talk about formations and alignments. Okay, so that's the title of the topic. Personnel groupings, formations and alignments. How do we get our guys the ball? How do we move people around? All right, and a couple years ago, well, it's been longer than that, about 5 years ago, before I moved to Ohio. We were at Thompson, Georgia. We had some really good receivers, and I was in the mindset back then of I want to play as fast as possible, so I'm not going to move my guys around. And I can't tell you how many times we got caught up in a game, and I've got Trey Parker sitting in the boundary, all right, and we can't get him to the field because, we didn't have it in our offense. And I learned my lesson, okay? Remember, football's a lot about learning lessons, all right, and not making the same mistake twice, all right? So I learned my lesson there, all right? Get to Ohio, the coach and staff here had the system already in place to move the guys around, all right, and we just made it better and better as the years went on. Now, when we talk formations, it can be limitless. It can be as many formations as we want, and we can move our guys around anywhere we want to move them on the field, all right? And the cool thing about it is, it can be game-by-game basis. It can be game plan driven, okay? So, and it can go from year to year. And it's really simple. I had the mindset of, man, it'll be difficult to move guys all over the field, but it's really not if you commit to doing it. This is how we do it. All right. So, formations. These are my thoughts, kind of talking points on formations. Have the ability to be multiple. That's the number one key. You want to be multiple. You want to be able to do whatever you need to do to move the football. Have the ability to move receivers. Simple hand signals. Our formations are simple hand signals. All right. We don't have wristbands, things like that. We're all hand signals. All right. So they get a simple hand signal. Consistency. All right. And what I mean by that word consistency, I mean consistency with the personnel groupings, all right? If we're in right in cheetah, then right in dog needs to be similar, okay? So the kids, not only do they have to learn formations and personnel groupings, if we can limit that by keeping it consistent language, all right, they can learn it that easy, much easier. Be multiple, but don't get crazy with it. I always say that too. You want to be multiple, but don't get crazy with it. And you get through, and you're in the fourth quarter, and you've been getting in all these formations, and you really hadn't done anything. All right, so be multiple, but make sure you're don't get nuts with it. Customize your formations based on your players' talent, game plans, your strength of your offense. Okay, so some years for us, we may stick in one formation out of cheetah, all right, but maybe this past year we got in 3 different type of formations in cheetah, all right, because of our personnel or game plan, or maybe that was the strength of our offense. Maybe we wanted our Z to be number 2 more this year than normal, all right. Let me get into that to show you how that works. All right, so here's some personnel formations, alignments, examples. Okay, here's some examples of it. All right, so cheetah. Okay, all right. We have right and left, trips right, trips left, right flip, trips right flip, trips left flip, right switch, left switch, and then we can add tight. We can add tight, bunch, and wing. Okay, so, it looks like a lot. And it is. It is a lot. All right? But this takes time to install. Maybe that's your first install. Maybe right and left and trips right, trips left is your first install. And then you can get into the flip and switch and your tight and your bunch and your wing, those type of things. Okay? So let me show you kind of what that looks like. Okay, so cheetah R, right. Very simple. All right, we yell cheetah, cheetah, cheetah. Boom. Right. Until right there, the kids know we're in right. All right. The R, right, talks to the Y and the Z. They line up to the call. R tells the H he's away, and they're away. Pretty simple, right? Obviously, left is left. He just holds up his left hand. Okay. Trips right. Very easy. Trips right. Yeah. The H knows he comes over. He's number 3. Okay. Trips left. Very simple, right? All right. Now this is where we get different. Okay. Cheetah R flip. We just tell them flip. So it's R, the Y and the Z know to go to the right, right? Yeah, or correct. The H goes away. Okay? But in flip, the Z goes to number 2. Now you got a whole different formation. And you guys know those defensive coordinators, all right? You throw one play in the previous film that they have with the Z at number 2, they got to draw it. They got to practice it. They got to have a plan. All right. So maybe you're just running the same plays. Maybe you're running 4 verticals and you want the Z down the seam. All right. Maybe you're running the drive series that's on the program gun series that we run, and we want to run Z drive. Well, it doesn't do much good with him number 1 because we got to motion him here to get here. And then we just tip our hat, tell everybody in the stadium, hey, he's running drive because we're motioning. Why not just line up in it with a simple tag to the formation? All right. And now he can run the crossing route from there. And it's Z drive. All right. So that's the cool thing about this. All right. Maybe you want him on the smash route. I don't know. But be able to get your Z at number 2. Now he can run the jet sweep from there. All right. That kind of thing. So be able to flip him around, put him in the slot. Same thing, L flip. All right. It's trips right, correct? So right here, trips right. So for us, that's just trips open. All right. A good defensive coordinator, that's different than him. All right. Let's say that in the game plan, they're repping this, trips right. Okay? The Y's on, H is off, Z's off. But you got to think, defensive coaches aren't looking at these guys at receivers. They're looking at, well, this is Martavian Johnson. Okay? That's a kid that we have playing Z, really good player for us. Well, they're going through the game plan, they're planning, they're drawing their defense, getting ready. Everything that the defense coaches do on the weekends, boom, they get to this clip. Well, Martavian Johnson is number 2 in this formation. Wonder why they are doing that. Why do they have him at number 2 right here? All right, so now you throw a little curveball in there, all right, by putting him at number 2, and all you did was just tag flip to your formation. Very simple. You can run the same plays. Maybe you got a special play for him. And maybe flip for you puts him on the inside. I don't know. You create it how you want to create it. All right? But just trying to show you how multiple you can make trips right be just by moving your personnel groupings around. Maybe you want this tall on the ball receiver at number 1 and take a shot with him. We've done that a lot. All right? Single your guy up over there. So that's different than just regular trips because you got a different dude at number 2. Then you can get into this. All right, I want both. Remember we talked about our Y and our X being tall, traditional, on-the-ball receivers, correct? All right. Well, maybe I want those guys in the slot. Well, how can we do that? We just go R, tails. Look, it's the same thing. These 2 guys know where they align in R. All right. And then we just go switch. That tells the X he's number 2 and the H is out wide. So you're able to switch these guys up. Very, very easy. Again, it sounds like a lot, but when you sit back and you look at it and you start working it, it's very simple to do. L switch, same thing. Switches these two guys. They're in L. So really, cheetah L, no different for those guys. Same thing there. All right, so dog formations. RL, trips right, trips left, right flip, left flip, trips right flip, trips left flip, and can add bunch, tight, wing, and oversets. You know. So let's look at this. All right, so dog R. Dog R. R tells the Y and the Z to go right, just like in cheetah. So this is the consistency part that I was talking about. All right, try to keep the language the same within our personnel groupings. Okay, so R tells the fullback he's away. Okay, he's away. All right, he's always away from the call. So if we want to go power left, all right, and we want to put the two receivers to the field, we're just R. And then we call our power play to the left. Okay. And then L. These two guys go to the left. Fullback's away. X is away. All right. Now, I know it's not true trips, but it was a way for us to say, well, we want to run the power to the two twins receivers. All right. Let's just call it trips. Trips right, power right. All right. So we can run our power play here in our RPO game here. And they're all in the same play. Again, you got to rip it with your kids, and they understand how to align to it. Same thing with trips left. Again, R, the fullback knows he aligns away, just from a simple signal. We add flip, that's not talking to him. Flip's talking to these two guys. They just flip positions. He's number one, he's number two. He stays on the ball just like he would if he's number two. Now you can get into fly motion in him. You can do some other things with him. Maybe you want to run Z drive out of this group. So I know it looks like the same formation as this, but it's totally different when a defense coordinator is looking at it. You know, and some DCs might say, I don't care, whatever. We'll still play it. But some don't. Tiger, we got all these different formations. Again, this is where the U-back, his base alignment is always, you know, 1 by 1 on the tackle. Okay, and remember, the U-back is a utility player. He's a different type of player. All right, so we just give it a new personnel grouping. Tiger R, he knows he aligns away. Same rule as in dog. Trips, he lines up in trips. So now you're in almost like a tray look. All right, maybe you're running a double post and a flat route, or maybe a sail and vertical, like a flood route. You can boot and flood. You can RPO it where you're running some type of inside zone and reading the end and pull it and get the U back in the flats, run a flood off that. It's good stuff too. And again, you can tight, you can add, you know, bunch and tight sets where you bring these guys in tight. All right, wing, you can do all that stuff just from simple tags. Hippo, let's look at these. You know, that's with your tight end. You know, you got that. They're just in traditional right. The Y and the Z go to the right, just like in all the other personnel groupings. The H goes away. All right, so you got that. Trips, now you're in tray. Tight end on, 2 off the ball receivers to the right. X is by itself. Remember, in cheetah, the H, he knows in trips right, I'm over there with the Z. Okay, so consistency. And then you can get into right, okay, that talks to the Y, the H, and the X. They all align the same. And then just tag over. Or you can go Z over. However you want to signal over. Some people go here, so you go Z over. When I was at Thompson, I said, you over there. When I would call the plays, but I was a signaler too. And I would just go right, you over there. Call the play. It was easy. So that's your nub trips deal. If you want to get in that. Love that formation. It's a great formation. Same thing there. All right, so that's our formations. That's how we move people around. That's how we get multiple guys the ball. All right, and it's been working great for us in the past few years. Remember, the key is keeping it simple for the kids. All right, having the ability to be multiple and not getting crazy with it. 4 to 5 personnel groupings being that magic number. All right, so that'll do it for this formations and personnel session. Remember, if you need anything, you can reach out to me. Find my contact information on Glazer Drive. Do check out the Pro Gun spread system on Glazer Drive. It'll take you through about 25, 26 talks, and it's the full offense. Everything you want to know from our base alignments and formations to run game, pass game, screens, and then to game planning and practice. RPOs, everything that you want to know about this system is on the Glazer Drive. Thank you.